Hey everybody, how are you? It's so good to see all of you. It's Thursday. It's a beautiful Thursday out, and it's another broadcast. It's probably a broadcast that I'm really looking forward to this broadcast because I've worked on so many different elements that I'm trying to get going on our chat, as far as showing different things up on the screen and whatnot. And I'm trying to get the chat working. For some reason, it's not displaying on my end. There it is. Okay. So there's our first chat message. If you guys should see it on the screen, I added this plugin that should be showing the chat. So if you're on any of the platforms, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, any of the platforms minus TikTok, you are able to go ahead and put on your chat, and you can see that we have our first hi message on Instagram. So good to see you, Ingle. But feel free to go ahead and chat as much as you want. We're going to be able to see each other's chats. I'm going to be able to highlight chats so that I can show them and everybody can see them across all platforms. So this is my highest production stream that I've done. So I'm really excited. You guys can already see the chats coming up. And I'm already seeing some familiar names over on Instagram. So glad to see everybody there. You guys know how we start. We start with the global roll call. So let me know what city, state, province, country you're from, all of that stuff. You don't have to be some genius data scientist to participate in my streams. Just let us know where you're from, and we can start from there just to kind of see the global presence that data science has. And also, you never know if you're going to meet somebody from your city or from your country, from your school even. You know, I know that there's a lot of people who get a lot of students here. So I'm already seeing a couple of people. Wonderful. Thank you so much for telling me your location. Keep on going. Keep on going, guys. YouTube also, feel free to jump in. I'm seeing a lot of Instagram posts, which is fantastic. So while I'm waiting for more people to, give us their city and state and all that, I always like to start with an opening note here. So today, I wanted to share something with you that I share with all of my teams. Whenever I'm leading a data science team, I always like to kind of have like a yearly kickoff. So my first technical meeting with my team for the year is always just kind of like setting the tone for the year. A little bit of work, a little bit of inspirational. And one of the things I've always shared with one of my teams is one of my favorite sayings. And I did a reel on this, and I was a little surprised that it didn't get a lot more attention because I think it's a really powerful message. So the saying that I like, that I'm really inspired by, is I do my research not to back up my opinions, but to discover my opinions. I really love that message because so many of us really don't want to kind of be open to new ideas, right? We're really just kind of exercising like a confirmation bias where I'm going to go read and find things that fit the mold of what I have in my mind. If you're not doing research with an open mind, then you're really not doing research, right? So I don't do research to back up my opinions. I do research to discover my opinions. And another reason I love that message why I share it with my teams is because, believe it or not, the person who said that is not a scientist at all. It's actually a man by the name of Brandel Chambly. You're welcome to Google that name. He's quite a famous man, but he's actually a golfer. He used to be a professional golfer, and he's now a golf commentator. I believe he's with NBC or with the Golf Channel, one of those channels. But he's known for doing these really deep analytics into golf. He knows more about golf than anybody else. He's a really well-respected guy. He's really kind of one of the people I look up to, just from a researcher perspective. Like he's the type of data scientist that I want to be. Although he probably wouldn't call himself a data scientist. He just loves golf. But I love the message, and I love the fact that it's coming from completely outside of science, completely outside of data science. But just wanted to share that and reinforce that with all of you guys, because it's really powerful of how we do research and how the open mind that we should have going into doing research. So, if you guys want to comment on that, would love to hear your feedback. This is why I share those opening notes, or if there's anything else that you guys want to, share, feel free to do that. I always get questions, obviously, on these streams, but, looking forward to interacting with you guys. I'm already seeing quite a few messages. So let me go ahead and start off here. So Sashwat Korala, I'm sorry if I butcher your names. I try to do the best I can. But joining us from Minnesota, USA, well, welcome. I don't think we've had anybody from Minnesota just yet, so welcome. I hope you guys are keeping cool out there. I imagine it's humid out there. I missed this one. Karthi Kayan, hello from Karthi in India. Well, good. Welcome to you, Karthi. I think I've seen you on the lives before, so thanks for supporting the content. Let me know what part of India. I know India is a very large and diverse country. OMD MHD writes there from Iran, a software engineer. Welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. Software engineer, I assume you're trying to make a move into data science, or maybe you already have some data science in your background. Kobina Abil writes, I am from Ghana, the gateway to Africa, ready to take a career in data science. Welcome. We get a lot of people from Africa. I'm from Ghana, the gateway to Africa. Oh, that's interesting. Help me understand what you mean by the gateway, because, Africa is obviously a massive continent, lots of ways to enter. I might be embarrassing myself here, but I think that Ghana is like the southwest part of Africa. You can correct me on that. I only part of Africa I've been to is Morocco. I've been there multiple times, but you can correct me on that. El Esplendido, listening from Atlanta at work. Wonderful, good to see you. I know you participated in these chats before, so thank you so much for that. Good to see you again, El Esplendido. Manjeet B, a supporter of the channel. Thank you so much, Manjeet, for being here. Hey Dennis, how are? Actually, let me try my highlight. I have a highlight feature now. Give me just a second. So Manjeet writes, hey Dennis, how are you? Hey Manjeet, thanks for asking. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day out today. I got my walk in. I walked for 5 kilometers today. Something I didn't share with you guys is that my local Starbucks, where I get my double espresso every day, has actually been closed for the last 2 days. They had a leak or something. So today was my first day being able to go back there. And I know all the workers there, and they're always treat me nicely. So it was nice to see them again. But yeah, I got my walk in. I got my double espresso. It's a beautiful day out. It's going to be a little warm, but I'm doing great. Thanks so much for asking, Manjeet. Really appreciate that. So Karthi writes, that is indeed a great mindset for learning. So by the way, guys, you should be seeing the chats across right below where I am. If you need me to adjust that or need to make that look a little better, please let me know. But I love that I can highlight the chats. That way everybody across all platforms can read them. But yeah, if you need adjustment on that, let me know. Ghoul1502, we're still doing our quick roll call. So let me come back to your question, okay? Let me know where you're from, Ghoul. I don't think I saw your location. Aviral Verma, I'm going to come back to your comment. Let me know where you're from. Siva writes, hello greetings from India. Hey Siva, good to see you. I think I've seen you here before, so thank you so much for coming back. Really enjoyed having you guys here. Okay, so Karthi writes that he is from Tamil Nadu. That's right. I think you mentioned that to me before. That's right. I forgot about that, but I do remember seeing Tamil Nadu here earlier. I'm going to skip over some questions. Trying to catch the locations first here. Hi, Isaac from England, UK, physics graduate who has worked in EdTech. Welcome. Trying to make a career in data science. Cool. Great. Thank you so much, Isaac. Thank you for joining us. We get a couple of visitors from the UK. Western Europe makes up my 3rd largest demographic, I believe. So good to see you here, Isaac. So Kabina Bill tells me that Ghana is the west of Africa. Okay. It's best to visit Ghana first if you're coming to Africa. We hold the keys to other African countries. Okay. All right. I have been to West Africa. I think Morocco counts as West Africa, or at least Northwest Africa, I believe. But yeah, would love to visit Ghana someday. let me see. I think that's it for now on the roll call. If anybody else joins in late or wants to just share where they're from, please feel free to do so. I'm still waiting for a couple more people to join on YouTube. We've been getting some YouTube visitors. But again, doesn't matter what platform you're on, you're going to appear in the chat window over here. I will try my best to highlight people as they come in, or the questions as they come in, so that people across all platforms can read them. I can't tell you guys how excited I am with this new setup, because this way you guys can all see the questions from each other right on the screen. So really happy to see that. All right, guys. So I'm going to scroll back up here. I'm going to start highlighting some of the questions that people have asked. Let's see. Okay. So first question is from Ghoul 1502. Looking for AI ML jobs, where to apply? I have been working on really cool projects, but struggling to get jobs since market is tough. Okay. Well, that is a common question that I get. One of the things I would suggest to you is you're going to have to narrow down which kind of AI ML jobs you're looking for, because there's many, right? And the other thing too is you got to stay positive, right? Having a positive mindset when it comes to job searching is very important. You know, I have this theory that if you let the job search kind of run you down and beat you down, it's going to come across in your interviews, right? Like that mindset that you carry into the job search comes across maybe in ways that you're not conscious of. So you got to stay positive. You got to stay, ready to go at any time, because, you never know when a call or an interview is going to come through. But you got to stay positive. You got to stay positive, and you got to keep on applying, right? Don't let that get you down. If you should also kind of be tracking some of your own progress along that job search. Are you maybe not getting enough interviews? Well, maybe you should be looking at your resume, right? Are you getting the interviews but not getting the jobs? Well, maybe you want to work a little bit on your interviewing skills, right? This is one of the reasons why I offer a mock interview service, because I think that data science interviews are kind of a little bit unique. They're a little bit unique in what they can ask you, a little bit unique in kind of the different ways teams run them. Some teams run them one way, other teams run them another way. So, it's kind of a challenge to stay up with the ability to land some of those interviews. So Ghoul 1502, I understand the frustrations. I know that it can be a little bit discouraging, but stay positive, stay engaged in the community, keep up on current data science events, and you'll get there. The last thing I want to see anybody do is kind of give up on data science. So try to stay as encouraged as you can, and you'll get there. Just keep on sending out those resumes. All right, Averell Verma 03 writes, due to technological advancements like 5G, there is data generation from almost every small device. So what are your points, how the world will be taking care of data centers and heat generated by these? That is a really good question. And that is something that I think is coming to the forefront of a lot of people's minds. I think that there was an article that I had posted previously, and I made a short video on it that was talking about the potential for data centers to be taking up 30% of all the produced electricity in the United States alone. And that's really just that's not a number that's going to go down, right? It's only going to keep on going up. So yeah, at some point there is going to have to be some discussion on what that looks like in terms of the need for AI and all these really cool tools and generative AI and all that, versus what's happening, as far as energy consumption and renewable energy, and as you say, the heat that generates. So I'm not exactly sure where all of that is going to end up, but it's a good question, and I'm glad that that we as data scientists are taking that up, because it certainly does have the potential to be a very high number in the not so far off future. So thanks for the question, Averell. Good question. All right, give me just a second, guys. I'm gonna move the chat display just a little bit lower so it covers more of my microphone. There we go. All right, so let me keep on going to the next question. So OMD MHD writes, I have some experience in data science, but love to get more. Well, great. Tell us about your experience. What have you done? And do you have like a portfolio ready, or have you done like an internship or things along those lines? And tell me more about that. And, maybe somebody in the chat or somebody else can, come up with some next steps or other things that you want to be looking at. Just give me a little bit more background there if you don't mind. All right, let me keep on scrolling down. Okay, so Ghoul also writes that I am an SDE from Delhi, India, currently pursuing a PG program in AI/ML. Pursuing a PG program. Okay, postgraduate is what I'm assuming you mean, which is great, and congratulations on that. Marcos PS, hey, writes hi. Well, hello to you too, Marcos. Let us know where you're from. I don't think I saw that. Firebrand J, good to see you. I know you've been a supporter of these chats, so good to see you again. I really enjoy your questions and also your comments on Instagram. Hello, this is Jay from Atlanta. How often interviewer asks questions on hypothesis testing? Any suggestions to use for feature engineering? How often do they ask questions on hypothesis testing? I can't say that I've heard many people ask that. I'm trying to think if I have that in my usual questions. I don't think I have anything on hypothesis testing specifically. I do have questions on like inferential statistics. And sometimes, inferential statistics and hypothesis testing can kind of be kissing cousins, as we say here in the United States. So I don't have anything, I don't have any statistics on it, Jay, but I would think that you want to be ready for it, but I don't think it's a critical question that people would ask during interviews. So good question. Let us know if you've been asked that, Chad, that's a good question for you guys. Have you guys ever been asked a question in your interviews on hypothesis testing? So let me know if that's the case. I mean, maybe they'll ask you like your thoughts on a p-value or things like that, right? Because that's related to hypothesis testing. But yeah, but let me know, or maybe the chat can chime in on that. So El Escondido writes, networking is the key to finding opportunities. Yeah, I think that's a great comment. I'm assuming you're saying that in response to some of the other people asking for jobs. So yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. There's a theory out there, and I wish I could remember the theory, but there was a theory out there that said that, how they always say, like, build up your LinkedIn network, they can help you find jobs and all that. So there's another theory out there that says that it's not your network that finds you jobs, it's the network of your network that you eventually end up working for. So it's not really like, oh, I'm going to go work for this friend or this LinkedIn contact. It's that you end up going, it's kind of like, one step removed or one relationship removed, where your friends get you in contact with their friends to get you the jobs. So that's why building up the LinkedIn network and stuff like that is still very important, because, it's not about just how many people it's about the people that they know that eventually will lead to a job. I know that that's held true for my career. I'm a terrible networker, guys. I will completely admit that I am terrible at networking. But the times when I have, kind of reached out or gotten a job that way, it's been because friends of friends, not necessarily my friends, right? So El Esplendido, I'm all with you on that. The networking is important, and it's also about who your network knows. So thanks for that. I love that the chat is kind of helping each other out in terms of the different questions that are coming up. Okay, Ikabira 14, let us know where you're from. I don't think I saw that from you. Let us know where you're from, Ikabira. Ikabira writes, what skills are expected from a fresher applying for DA/DS job roles? Let me know what you're looking at. Are you looking for internships, or is that a full-time jobs that you're applying? What kind of roles are you looking at? Give me a little bit more background there, okay? All right, so Siva Karthik writes, I had this question for a while. What do you think of using generative AI to answer questions that expresses one's intellect? For example, in interviews. So first of all, I'm assuming that you mean that I'm going to assume that you mean for a written interview, right? Like a take-home interview, like, you know, they give you like these little like case studies or things like that. Because you probably don't want to use it in real time, right? When you're using a tool, or you're looking up notes, or you're using up the web during real time, like phone screens, guys, the interviewer knows, right? You can tell. I've had that happen to me many times. You can tell, and I'm saying that as an interviewer. As an interviewer, you can tell when somebody is looking answers up, right? So don't try that. It's silly, really. So I'm assuming you mean for interviews. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with you using the generative AI. I've only done that in one instance. There was a private equity fund that approached me to work for them, and they gave me some rinky-dink interview thing. So I did that, but I also disclosed to them that I used AI for some of the answers, and I was really using it for some of the code for the answers. So yes, I think you're okay using that, but just be honest, right? And disclose it. Because, you know, as data scientists, we always want to be as intellectually honest as we can. So I'm on board with you using the generative AI tools. Just make sure you disclose it, you know, or maybe you want to ask ahead of time when they give you the interview, right? Hey, do you mind if I use some generative AI tools? So I'm okay with it as long as you disclose it. You can disclose it in terms of hey, I just wanted to produce the work faster, and Gen AI is indeed the fastest way to produce, you know, fast code. I'm okay with you doing that. You know, I mean, if anybody else has done that, you know, let me know. Just curious, you know, if that's something that is popular nowadays. But I'm okay with that. You know, I think you're fine there. Oh, good. I can see that we have somebody who did participate via YouTube in the chat, which great, right? So. Guys, again, I cannot tell you how excited I am that I got this working. I've been working on this all week because I want to bring as much production value to you guys, and I know I get so many Instagram chats, and I kind of wanted people to be able to see it. So I'm so happy that you know, it's on the screen and you guys can see it across multiple platforms, and I'm trying to highlight as many chats as I can so everybody can read it. So I'm really happy with it. If you're on LinkedIn, you can also join via LinkedIn, or I also have X or a Twitch. We should also be able to see Twitch chats up here. So really happy about this. So Ghoul writes, thank you for the advice. Well, you're welcome. You know, I hope it helps. You know, I'm just sharing my experience and whatnot. And you also got some help from the chat. So let me know how things turn out for you, and stay positive. Okay. Job searching's hard, but you'll get there. Okay, so Ashku Marsinha? Ashku Marsinha writes, how big is the data science market and how to get a job? Well, let us know what kind of job you're looking for, right? And what are some of your motivations for joining the data science market? How big is the data science market? Well, that can be your first research as a data scientist, right? You should be able to have the research to find that. You know, whenever I get questions like this, I'm always curious about people's motivations for joining or for wanting to be a data scientist. As many of you know, if you've seen my guide for data science students, you know, I'm very passionate about data science, and I truly take it as my life's work. And I think that's one of the reasons why it comes easy to me, why I think I'm a good teacher at it, and why I enjoy making this content for you guys, because it's truly a passion. It's not just something that I'm trying out or a hobby, or, you know, something I'm doing because it's a good job market. I'm doing it because I like it. So I want to make sure that that the people around me are doing it for those same reasons, right? So don't do data science because it's a big job market, because it's the sexiest job of the 21st century and all that other stuff you read about. Those are terrible reasons to be a data scientist, right? So don't do that to yourself. Never do anything in your career for money. Do something because you like it. So Ashku, if you want to give us some more background on why you're looking at it or whatnot, let us know. But just be careful, guys. And I'm not picking on anybody in particular. Just that's just the advice I give to anybody I meet. Make sure that you're doing something because you want to do it, not because, it's good money or you heard this and that about it. Do it because you want to do it. You'll be much happier that way. All right, so moving on here. Moving on to Kashnav. Kashnav writes to us, I have 3 years of work experience in business analytics and Power BI. Good for you. So an incoming DS master student, will I be considered as a fresher during interviews or someone with experience? Depends on which job you're applying for. As a person who's done hiring in the past, I can tell you that when I see Power BI, I think, okay, this is a visualization expert. And that's okay, right? Nothing wrong with being a visualization expert. Very important part of data science. So when you go to interviews that are outside of that, that's when you might want to say, yes, I am a Power BI specialist, but I also have modeling skills. I've also done predictive modeling. I've also deployed models, or I can also do user interfaces, right? To do predictive runtime requests. Right, so you kind of want to focus on that, because if you don't want people to pigeonhole you as being a visualization specialist, then make sure you highlight the other side, particularly the modeling, in your interviews and in your conversations, right? And also because you mentioned analytics, and people tend to think of analytics as being not modeling, right? Analytics can be a lot of things, but a lot of people consider it as not being modeling. Okay, so keep that in mind. And see if kind of helps you break out during some of those jobs. But again, it depends on the jobs you're applying for. If you're applying to like another analytics role or a visualization role, then great, highlight your Power BI skills, because I think those are very valuable skills. Okay, so good luck with you. Good luck to you. Let us know how it turns out. Looking ahead on the chat here. Hey, Satvik, let's slow down on the YouTube, okay? People are generally pretty respectful in the chats, but please don't spam the chat. I'm going down the list. I have my list here on my stream as far as the chat. I'll get to your questions, but please don't spam the chat. A little patience, please. All right, guys. All right. So Isaac, our friend from the UK, writes, I wonder what your opinion is on data science boot camps. Are they seen as valuable by recruiters? Isaac, somebody asked me this question in a comment, I believe, or maybe they sent me a personal. No, it was a comment. It was a comment because I marked it as somebody that I want to do a video reply to. Because, I like doing video replies to comments, and sometimes I'll mark it. So Isaac, was that you? Did you ask me about these boot camps? Because somebody else asked me about data camp, I think, or something like that. So so it's good that you're asking this, because I've been formulating an answer in my mind. Sometimes by the way, guys, sometimes I'll read your comments right before I go on my walks in the morning, and I'll think about these comments on my walk, because I want to give you guys the best answer possible. So Isaac, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm not really familiar with any particular boot camp. So I can give you my general view, but for all I know, there's these wonderful boot camps out there that I'm just not aware of. So, I just don't know. I just, want to kind of give you guys like the disclosure ahead of time, because, for all I know, there's great boot camps out there. But what I would primarily ask you to consider is the expense and the cost that you're going to put into these, because I don't know what these camps cost. And I'm not sure if a lot of these are going to give you a return on investment on them, right? So I really can advise you in the sense of, yeah, that camp is $1,000. And I think it makes total sense for you to invest in that. So, be mindful of that, because, I'm sure these camps aren't free. As far as your question specifically about are they valuable by recruiters, I gotta say no. I gotta say no, because there's really no dominant, like globally recognized data camp, right? There's nothing that would stand out on the resume. I mean, I could take like 3 or 4 different resumes that you know, my recruiters source for me, and one will say that they went to the, you know, but the Towards Data Science boot camp, and somebody else went to, you know, some other boot camp, and this guy went to data camp. And okay, I mean, from my perspective, it's like I don't want to say it's a nothing burger, but you know, how do I distinguish one from the other? Yeah, I don't, right? And you know, so it's really just one of those things where, is it going to make your resume, like, is it going to elevate your resume and really make it pop? Probably not. If I'm being honest, probably not. You know, and I've talked about this before in some other streams. I've never checked anybody's GitHub when I'm interviewing them. You know, I think people, for data science, I think people put a little bit too much emphasis on GitHub. You know, maybe for some straight up, you know, software engineering roles, that's important. But I've never checked anybody's GitHub, if I'm being honest. What I have checked is I have had people who will include links to their Medium articles or their LinkedIn articles. I will take the time to read those. Like if somebody writes and says, hey, like in their experience, or, you know, maybe in their thank you letter, you know, they'll say, hey, here's an article I wrote, you know, I will check out articles, you know, I have done that. In fact, one of the guys that I hired, you know, a few years back, yeah, you know, he included a link to an article, and I went to the article, and, you know, I'm not looking for like anything groundbreaking or fantastic, but I'm looking for you to kind of, you know, be in the data science world. So LinkedIn has a section for articles, you know, and also Medium, if you take the time to write on Medium. I know a lot of people do that. I do that from every once in a while. So yeah, so I would probably encourage you to do more things like that, more like if you did research on your own and created a LinkedIn article about it, I am 10 times more likely to read that and put weight on that than a line at the bottom of your resume saying, I got a certification from some unknown boot camp, right? And I say unknown because it's unknown to me, right? I mean, if I haven't heard of it, then it doesn't really exist, right? So that's what I would tell you. So I don't know if that helps you, Isaac. I guess that was a little bit of a longer answer than I intended. But, you know, if you're looking to do it to build your resume, those are the things that I've actually read on resumes. You know, but otherwise, you know, it's not going to make you stand out because 5 other candidates are going to have some other boot camp, and they're all going to be the same to me as the person reading your resume. All right, so Marcos PS writes that he's joining us from Spain. Well, welcome. Welcome. Spain is really popular in terms of viewers from there. So I'm glad to see more people from Spain here. I've considered doing data science videos in Spanish. I do speak Spanish. I speak Spanish, I speak beginner Japanese, and very terrible Arabic Darija. So let me know if there's an interest in having more stuff in Spanish. You know, it could be fun, but yeah, you know, I do speak Spanish. Maybe I should just use it more. So Karthi, coming back to one of our earlier talks about the energy usage, writes, maybe the heat generation will go down if more decentralized models and cloud develop better. Help me understand what you mean by decentralized models, because I think that's going to be one of the big challenges for Gen AI, right? The bigger these models get, the more they kind of have to run in the cloud, right? I mean, even for like on-premise solutions for a business, you'd still be talking about a significant data center investment, right? And then from like an environmental impact perspective, there's no net change, right? You're just moving it from one data center to another data center. But, you know, the heat generation and power usage is like, there's no net change, right? It's still increased. You know, and I know that there's been a little bit more talk out there about not large language models, but small language models, you know, maybe things that can run on your mobile device or on a car. And that certainly has potential, but I don't know. I don't know if that's something that's going to really take off in some significant way, right? So let me know if that's what you meant by decentralized models. You know, maybe that's what you meant, some of the smaller language models. But yeah, not everything is going to be a net reduction in heat, right? You're kind of just shifting it around, right? Kind of like that Newton's law, right? The energy is not spent, or it's not increase or decrease, just shifts forms, right? So El Esplendido writes A/B testing. Oh, good catch. Yeah. So obviously El Esplendido, I assuming you're talking about going back to hypothesis testing. Yes. A/B testing is an excellent example of something they might ask you that does involve hypothesis testing. Good catch there. I love the contribution there, El Esplendido. So yeah, you guys should be familiar and should be prepared for A/B testing questions. I ask an A/B testing question in my interviews, and I'm trying to think about what that question is. It might be fun. I think I ask about one of the what is an example of some of the formulas you might be using in A/B testing. So if you guys want to take that on, think about that, write your answer in the chat. Don't be shy. I'm not going to shame anybody if they get the wrong answer. But yeah, if you guys want to think about that, what is one of the formulas used in A/B testing? That is definitely something that I ask, and I have heard in other interviews, and it is very much an example of what they would ask you for hypothesis testing. So thank you for that, El Esplendido. Firebrand J writes, thank you so much for your suggestion. Hope I can help, my friend, and keep on coming back, keep on sharing what you know, and, it kind of helps the community grow all together. Okay, so we have our first comment from YouTube. Satvik writes, hey, is it difficult to get a deep learning job as a fresher? What would be the procedure, and how deep would we need to go? Help me understand how you are defining deep learning in this situation. Deep learning can have many different forms. So I want to hear from you on, kind of what does that mean to you? Because, we should all have pretty defined ideas of what we want to go into when it comes to deep learning jobs, right? So let me know what you mean by that. Let me know about your experience with deep learning, because it can kind of be all over the place. It's something that I would like to do more content on. I have an idea. I'm kind of cooking in the back of my head around deep learning. But let me know what you mean by that, all right? So El Esplendido writes, any data scientist that wants to collaborate on projects, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Hey, that's a great offer. That sounds like a really good offer. And I think you are doing that via Instagram. So if somebody in the chat is looking for somebody to potentially collaborate, please contact El Esplendido via Instagram. Sounds like he's looking for some other collaborators. So I think that sounds like a great idea. I don't know what kind of projects you have in mind, El Esplendido, but keep in mind that for anybody really who wants to take on projects or build a portfolio, the more that you take it upon yourself to source the data and just kind of take the entire life cycle and create a project, the more impact it's going to have on your resume, right? Because when you do these projects, it's not so much about your findings or your results, it's about you following the data science methods, right? And you actually like carrying those out, executing the data science life cycle or development cycle. So I commend you for doing that, El Esplendido. Thanks for making that offer. So anybody who wants to help, or rather wants to collaborate, let's do it. Let's get in contact. So Manjit writes, what are your thoughts on embedded ML or tiny ML? Yeah, so Manjit, this comes back to what we were just talking about as far as models that can run on your phone or in a car or things like that. I'm on board with them, as a thought, but two things come to mind. One, are you potentially sacrificing the best performing model, right? Because your smallest model isn't necessarily your best performing model. It can do okay, but do you want a less than optimal performing model in your self-driving car? Maybe, maybe not, right? So I think you kind of have to take, that's one of the things that are kind of a challenge around that. And the second part that comes to mind is, how do you update those models? One of the things, guys, that you're going to learn as you make that transfer from academics to the real world is in academia, you never had to update your models, right? You created the model, they got the right answer, your professor gave you a good grade on it, and that's it, right? You kind of put it away. In a lot of cases, you don't even run predictive cycles against your models. You just kind of store it away. You're done with that class, you're done with that project or whatever. But how do you but in the real world, you have to update models, right? So how do you update these tiny models or these embedded models? That's like a whole other challenge. How do you do it and how frequent, right? Because a good machine learning process is iterative. You're gonna learn from your mistakes. You're gonna do some reinforcement learning. You're gonna put that back into your model, and you're gonna need to deploy a new model, right? So how do you do that? And like, are you gonna update a self-driving car on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, or whatnot? Or some of these tiny models are intended for devices that are air-gapped, right? That don't have an internet connection. And there can be a lot of reasons for that, right? Most of the time it's because it's a remote location, right? If you're a mining company, let's say, and you have these like ridiculous remote locations in the middle of nowhere, but you still need some machine learning models or things like that, because that's very popular for those companies. How are you going to update those models, right? I mean, monthly? Twice a year? That's kind of dangerous if you're only updating your machine learning a couple times a year, right? Just to kind of give you guys an example, the reason why I always use that example is I had a job offer to work here in Las Vegas for one of the mining companies. I don't know if you guys know this, but Nevada, the state where I live, has a lot of mines, a lot of silver, a lot of gold, a couple other natural resources that are mined here. So I had an offer for a mining company to come work for them as one of their first data scientists. The reason I turned them down is because they wanted a lot of travel. Every week I would have to travel to like a remote location here within the state in Nevada up north. And every 3 weeks, I think, they wanted me to travel to some like the middle of the desert in Chile, because they had some copper mines in Chile. Apparently copper is a really big mineral in Chile. So every 3 weeks they wanted to send me to the middle of the desert in Chile. And I was like, that sounds great. And I'm really into traveling, but I'm not sure if that's my kind of traveling. So like you would have to do that though for these tiny ML models, right? Like how are you, if you have an air gap model running on some software in the middle of the Chilean desert because you're using it for your failure predictions, which is very common in mining, you're gonna have to send somebody out there physically to do that, right? So are you really gonna do that? That's kind of a tough thing, right? So I'm just kind of giving you the top of mind things here, Manjit. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. I know you're a smart guy, but that's what I think, those are the things that kind of come to mind as far as the dangers of it all. Okay, going down my list, coming back to my chat. Really good to see some more YouTube participation. I'm seeing a couple more people on YouTube, so welcome. And again, remember guys, if you haven't told us where you're from, please tell us. Would love to hear more about your locations. Rajiv writes, I recently got an offer for a data scientist position. Congratulations. This is my first time working as a data scientist. What would be your words of advice? Yeah, lots to unpack there. I've written about, or I've created content around this topic. So, first of all, congratulations for being a data scientist. Really happy for you. The first thing that comes to mind is that you're gonna have to learn how they do data science, right? Every team that you walk into, it has their own ways of implementing data science. I know I like to run my teams in a certain way. And, that may be different than other teams that other people join. But in that same statement, it speaks to the strength of your leadership or the need for strong leadership, because your leadership is going to teach you how to do these projects. You're going to make that shift from academia to real world data science. So that's going to require a very strong manager, not just your manager, but the manager of your manager, right? I'm assuming that you're going to be working for like a lead data scientist, and then there's a chief data scientist somewhere in the chain, right? So rely on them. Rely on them to say, hey, how do you guys do this? What do you think of this idea? Do you think it's a good idea for me to work on this model or this code? So that's the first thing I would tell you, Raju. The second thing I would tell you is that you're going to have to also get used to running champion model processes, right? Where you're going to have to take in a new project, take in new data, and you're going to have to make sure that you're going through a process where you're testing it against different models to find your champion model. That's not something you really had to do in school. I mean, yeah, maybe you had like a capstone course that required that of you. You know, I've seen that in some cases. You know, capstone courses do require that. But you haven't had to do that on a consistent basis, right? So make sure you don't fall into the trap of, well, that's just my favorite model, so I'm gonna use that model for this project and this project and this project. Well, you don't know if that model works across all the data, right? Every single data set is different. So I think those are the two things that I would tell you, that kind of come to mind immediately. Learn from your leadership, because, it's up to them to kind of teach you and mold you into being like a real world data scientist. And make sure that you're running these tests. Make sure that you're running multiple experiments within the model champion search. You haven't had to do that before in school, but it's going to be required. If you think about it, another thing kind of in that same vein too, is that in school you were told what model to use, right? Maybe you were in a regression course, so that all you did was regression modeling. That's not the real world, right? So you're going to have to get used to that, Rajiv, as far as saying, well, the answers aren't always given to you. You're going to have to find the answers. But, if you landed the job and, I assume you have a degree in this, you're a smart guy, so you're going to do great. So congratulations. Let us know how the job turns out. Look forward to hearing about it. And good luck. You're going to do just fine. Firebrand J writes, congratulations, Rajiv. Yeah, that's a big step to get to your first position there. So congratulations. Okay. Sorry, that was a repeat from Rajiv's question. I didn't see that. Okay, let me keep on scrolling down. Satvik writes, I really miss your X spaces. Really? Wow, I only ran those like twice, and a couple of people showed up, but it doesn't seem like people like the X Spaces format. I love the fact that it's interactive and people can join in and all that. But I only ran like 2 of them, and only a couple of people showed up. So I guess you must have been one of them. So thank you for supporting that. But but that was me being a data scientist, right? I thought, hey, let me try some X Spaces. I ran them at different times. And, they were fun, but, just didn't really get as much interaction as I thought. I have a bigger audience now than I have in the past, so maybe I'll try them again in the future. But thank you for that feedback, Satvik. I appreciate that. If you guys want some X Spaces, let me know. Let me know in the chat if X Spaces is something you'd like. But, I tried them and just didn't seem to work out, but maybe it's worth trying again. All right, guys, I'm looking at the clock. I'm going to stream for just about another 5-7 minutes or so. Instagram cuts me off at an hour, and I don't want the stream to end abruptly. So if you have any more questions, or just want to check in, just tell us where you're from. Let me know where you're from or whatnot. Any final words? But we got another 5-7 minutes here, guys. Okay, so going back to our YouTube, Samit writes, I am just starting out. I am in my learning phase. How should I go about a data analyst career? Samit, I have on YouTube, if you subscribe to my channel, I have a guide for data science students. It's a 20-minute video that I took the time to create for questions exactly like yours. I lay out exactly how I would start my career in data science, giving some of the things that I did that are still applicable today. Because some of the things I did are applicable, some are not, but I did include it in the video, so please watch that video. It's going to give you all the answers that you need there. Samit continues, eventually I want to do a master's in bioinformatics. How is that as a career option? I think it's a fantastic career option. Lots of availability in that market, in that job market. However, I will come back to what I always say. Make sure you're doing it for you, not because it's a good job market, okay? Make sure you're doing a master's in bioinformatics because you like bioinformatics, because you think it could be something you want to do as a career for the rest of your life. All right. So again, I'm always cautious about people who want to get into data science because of the jobs or because of the money. Do it because you like it, right? Find your life's work and go and do that. All right. In that same guide that I recommended to you, Samit, I recommend a book, Mastery by Robert Greene. That's the very, very first step I recommend to all of you. Find your life's work, find your life's mastery, and pursue that. Don't pursue data science just because, of the job market or the remote jobs or the money or anything like that. All right, so good luck, Samit. I think you're going to do just fine. Hi, this is Cheyenne from Ireland. Welcome. Love your content. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I am a lead DS right now. I want to grow to a principal DS. What skills do you think would be a key differentiator to grow to a principal? Ooh, love the question. Love the question, Cheyenne. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Cheyenne is what I'm saying here. Love the question. I love to see other data scientists in the chat or in reading or using my content. So welcome to you. Key differentiator to grow as a principal. Great question. And the answer to that is communication. And I mean that both communication to your stakeholders, to the people that you're doing the models for, and communication to your chain of command. So in other words, communication in two directions. To the people that you're serving, as far as your stakeholders, your users, and to the people that you're reporting to. That's what's going to differentiate you from the other data scientists. And that's what's going to make somebody say, hey, I think Cheyenne is ready for the next level. Let's promote him to, to a lead or to a principal or whatever your aspirations are, right? That's what's going to differentiate you in your future. If you want a starting point, I would start reading some of the books on emotional intelligence because I think that's super important. It's super important because as a data scientist, the more you move up, the more you're going to have difficult conversations, right? You're going to have difficult conversations with your stakeholders to tell them no, right? That you can't do their project or that there's no ROI in the project or things like that. You're going to have difficult conversations as you lead more people, right? Because as a principal data scientist, you'd be leading more people than you are now. You're going to have difficult conversations when you have to report to your chain of command and explain why certain algorithms didn't perform as expected, or whatever the case may be. You're also going to be doing things like hiring, performance reviews, things. Maybe you're going to be running more of your team meetings. So Cheyenne, as far as things that you can do right now, go out this weekend and do. Get yourself started on some emotional intelligence, on effective communication with emotional intelligence. You're going to want to start working on seeing things from other people's perspective, right? How you see things in the world is your perception, but how other people see it is their perspective. So you're going to have to start doing that, because if you don't have other people's perspective, you can't really develop empathy, right? Viewing things from other people's view is the first step to developing empathy. And if you can develop empathy and incorporate that into your leadership, that's a powerful combination. Powerful combination that will make you a very strong data science leader if you can kind of, become that empathetic leader. That's what I try to do. I don't claim perfection at it, because how can you perfect empathy, right? But if you strive to lead with empathy with your teams, with some of your less seasoned data scientists, and you have emotional intelligence when speaking to your stakeholders, when running your design meetings and things like that. Powerful combination. So I hope that helps, Cheyenne. I love the question. It's really good to see questions from other fellow data scientists, and thank you so much for the compliment on the content. I'm doing my best here. I'm still new to content creation. But I hope that helps. Let me, if there's something else I can help you with, send me a direct message. I think you're coming via Instagram. Yeah, you're coming via Instagram. So feel free to message me on Instagram, but love the question and good luck to you. Glad to see that you have, career aspirations, as we all should. All right, guys, I think I'm going to have to stop, wind down the stream here. I see other questions. I'm so sorry I didn't get to them, but Instagram cuts me off after an hour. For some reason, Instagram has a limit of an hour on streams. Can you believe that? So I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody's questions, but good news, I'm streaming again on Sunday. Every Thursday and Sunday, I stream at 1500 GMT. I'm pretty consistent with it because I love interacting with you guys. I love the way that the new chat interface is working. I think it looks great on the screen. Send me some feedback on that. Send me a DM in Instagram, because I love the way that this is looking. I love that I can highlight the chats. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's, like I said, it's my highest production value stream. But look, guys, we're winding down here. Really enjoy the time. I'm seeing a lot of students. I'm seeing a lot of job searchers in the chat. I know it's frustrating, guys, but keep a positive mental attitude. Keep going, keep moving forward, and good things are gonna happen to you. You just have to kind of, stay positive and keep at it. So I want to send that encouragement to you guys, because I know there's so many people from around the world looking for jobs. But if you guys are smart enough to study data science, and you're smart enough to present yourself in interviews, then something good is going to come along. So thank you all for the time that we've spent. Really appreciate you guys joining. Take care of yourselves. Be safe in your part of the world. I know it's warm in many parts of the world, so be safe out there. I'll see you again Sunday. Thank you so much for supporting the content. Take care.